coming off of the game number 2, I just felt like so many people were watching this game, and that was not fun. I didn't enjoy that at all. And I actually had the black pieces here, so I have this position. So I've never had this position. That's surprising. So there's one game in the Masters database that follows this. I should take here. But in these open Sicilian positions, the Darksword Bishop is pretty key. I like to get it on this diagonal and hit the rook. So this is how this game went, and I don't have the whole thing written down in a legible fashion, unfortunately. The queen comes here, and I had this idea that was bishop comes out here, the rook comes here, the knight comes here, and then he would capture, I'd take back, and I would be able to play this move, rook to d2. And if the knight's not there, and if the rook's not there, then I'm attacking everything and its mom. But the rook is there, and the knight is there, and so I tried to stave off doing something, but there's a lot of tension in this position. I think I already blundered a pawn that he didn't take, but maybe he saw some kind of resource I didn't. So I played this move looking to exchange pieces. I think the big problem that I had in this game was that I wanted to draw. I wanted the game to be a draw. I didn't want to win a flashy game at all. It felt like there were just a ton of people watching the game, and it was very unpleasant, and I just felt like it was being really overly scrutinized, and I didn't want to do anything crazy. And so maybe that's the reason that this doesn't go well. But even though I didn't want to do anything flashy, and I felt like the game was being heavily scrutinized, this game is much more accurate than the first two that I played. The engine says that there were pretty much no mistakes. The game was almost the perfect game until the second half, which I don't have written down all the way. But he plays this move saying queen trade, or he's going to checkmate me. So unfortunately, I can't move the bishop there. I don't know what else I'd play here. There really isn't anything. So I take, and then I play rook to d5. The better move is to get the rook to d2, and I recognize that after the game. But yeah, so I might not have played g5 right here, but I did approximately here. He got his bishop trapped in my camp. I moved my bishop over. This is basically how the game went. And then I decided that I was going to move my king over, try to trap his bishop, and constantly make this threat. And so I thought this was a great game. And I did not win this game. He, for this part that I had written down, my opponent played 89% accuracy. He had two blunders, but he blundered. They were like positional blunders, so there were no pieces blundered. Maybe a pawn. The play was very accurate, and I wound up losing this game after everything got traded off because of these two pawns. They got launched down when nothing else was on the board, and I thought I would get my king over, and at the very last moment in the game, I realized that I had made a mistake and my king had gotten behind the pawns. And very strangely, my opponent, the opponent I had in this game, didn't show up the next day. He just disappeared after this game, and I said to him at the end of the game, like, where did I lose the game? And he said, oh, I think like right around here. And or I think he said right around when I went to the bathroom or something. And the game was a draw until my king was coming back and like moved 65, So it was very strange that maybe he was just like, uh, just putting on a face. I don't know. I show up the next day and I felt more scrutinized this day, and I'm not used to playing. Obviously, I'm not used to playing over the board at all. I've never played classical chess ever, so that could just be something that I have to get used to. But hopefully there's no question anymore about whether or not my games are being played honestly, because it's pretty clear that the more people that I had watching the game, the more carefully people were watching, the better I played. This game was the most accurate, and I think definitely the most people were watching. So this is the Benoni, classical Benoni defense. The Benoni is just when the c5 and d6, when black has these pawns. This pawn formation is the Benoni, and now I played e5 here, which it was kind of a good idea, because I thought, okay, after this, then I'll be able to play a move like queen b3, and I'll be able to take the rook. But it doesn't work. So the reason that this doesn't work is because he can take here, because if I play this, then he plays this, and then even if takes, then queens just get exchanged. So that's rough. And I wound up playing the move queen a4, kind of trying to just fake him out and somehow win his bishop. Probably not going to happen. His rating was about like 1200, I think. This is a nice tactic, but then he finds this great move, queen d7, defending, kind of forcing a queen trade. And so once again, I get into a very drawish position, but the engine prefers black here, and I would too. He pushed that pawn, and when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's devilish. And white just looks awful here. So I had a lot of game plan going on in this. I decided that I was gonna try to skewer the two rooks, skewer the rook and the pawn, skewer the knight and the rook, trap the knight with the two bishops, get the bishop pair working with a rook on the g file, walk the king over to trap his knight. All of these were plans that I tried in this game, and he just defended quite masterfully. So I have to give him credit. He almost won the tournament, and I didn't know anybody who was at the tournament at all. I'd never spoken to anybody there before ever, and so it was a little bit strange. But the one person that I was talking to the most there said that my opponent in this game won the last tournament that he had been at. So bishop c6 is inaccurate, but everything else in this game is pretty good. This is another thing I tried to do, where I tried to pin this piece. So now I have two attackers on it, but he plays c3. It's just the only move in the position that works. Well, actually, maybe that worked as well. But yeah, now he plays that move. That's just forcing the trade. I have really nothing else to do. If I take here, then the game is over. So, okay. The game is pretty much over anyways, although it's not, I guess it's not quite as bad as it could be, but it's pretty bad. He's got two pawns that are super advanced, and they're marching in, and Space Invaders kind of vibe to this. The king comes over, and now I have to give up my rook. And I did see this check, and luckily I planned ahead, and I got into a position where I at least could go for like a stalemate trick. But yeah, he had a checkmate in one here, and I resigned. So I finished in the middle of the pack with my first classical games ever, and in this game my opponent played 96% accuracy, one inaccuracy, no mistakes, no blunders, and a 14 centipede loss. And I played 92% with no blunders, so what can you do? Sometimes you leave it all out there. I'm gonna work on that. I encourage anybody who's thinking about playing over the board, hasn't made up their mind, you should totally go do it. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll have somebody heavily scrutinizing you and talking about you behind your back. It's pretty cool. It's like being in high school again, except, well, it's not quite that fun, but at least I don't have to go to gym class, right? Okay, well, uh, oh, sounds like my mom's telling me that dinner's ready. Guess I have to go. My sister can be such a brat sometimes. Well, this will be one summer that we never forget.